Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, whatever time it is. I would like to take a few minutes to talk about the efficacy of hypnosis for weight management. And I say management, and some people say weight release, but even though our clients might come to us saying weight loss, I invite them to consider a new way to language that word, because if you think about it, and our higher, wiser mind is always listening to the way that we talk and what our thoughts are. What do we do when we lose something, right? We go try to find it again. So I always encourage them to pick a word that suits them, but I generally call it weight management. And some people, like I said, like to call it weight release, but that's what I'm here to talk with you about today. Um, Hypnosis is truly very, very effective long term for weight management. Addressing the underlying behaviors and limiting beliefs, in addition to supporting lifestyle changes, body movement, eating habits, improving body image, and increasing self-confidence and self-appreciation. And here's the biggie, self-love. So I like to preface things with a little bit of science support, because I love how science is coming around and validating what the mystics have known for thousands of years. And a lot of people, especially our left brainers, like to know those scientific facts. So without stats, I'm just going to let you know that overall studies show that hypnosis is better. It leads to better long-term results than other methods like cognitive behavior therapy or dieting alone. I don't even like to use the word dieting. It has it has the word die in it, and I just don't even like that. And there's long-term success. It can help, let's see, release the weight for even years. The effectiveness is greatest when it's used alongside additional, support. It's not just mindset or limiting beliefs. Um, it's a whole package deal. Lots of different things to address. And the beauty is our clients are going to come to us for lots of different reasons, lots of different motivations. It could be or they could be motivated by they've got their big high school reunion coming up and they want to release X amount of pounds or something, or maybe there's a wedding or some kind of big social event, and so they're finally motivated to do that. Or maybe somebody will come to us because they've done that up and down yo-yo for decades, and they're truly ready to release the weight and live a healthier lifestyle. And hypnosis is truly supportive, both long term, but also the studies show that it's effective in terms of shifting the body, the image of the body, and then the self-talk and self-appreciation, which is one of the things, self-appreciation, one of the things, and there's many spokes, but one of the things that I always encourage for my clients is self-appreciation. So hypnosis focuses on the behavior. It can alter negative thought patterns, emotional triggers that can lead to overeating or snacking. It can boost self-control, although it's really rarely about control. We can teach our clients techniques to reinforce the healthy attitudes and cravings and bring them back to an inner awareness of what generates moments of and generally it's emotional eating, what triggers the emotional or the emotions that trigger the overeating or the mindless eating. But the truth is, weight management, weight release has very little to do with the food. And anyone who has struggled with or yo-yoed or, had a perpetual challenge around weight management for decades or years or however long it is, they know what they should do, right? They don't need to be told, the way to eat. Or my approach is I never tell my clients how to eat or how to exercise. I don't even use that word exercise. I use the word movement, body movement. Um, but the truth is, and New Year's is coming up, that 40% of New Year's resolutions, especially related to weight management or exercise routines, 40% of those fail inside of 6 weeks. So it's really and that's due to the fact that New Year's, and I won't go off on too big of a tangent, but New Year's resolutions are like forceful, and then they negate the, they're saying essentially is that negating the good that you were in the past. Like you haven't done good enough, so you got to resolve to do something better in the upcoming year. So there's lots of different reasons that people could, be carrying around extra weight, and it could be that they just simply don't even like. There's a lot of confusing information out in the world right now. They may not even truly know how, be so confused in terms of how to properly nourish their bodies or the value of nourishing their bodies, or they could be overloaded with stress. So a lot of times stress plays into the part. Um, Another reason, it could be a globalized belief that they hold. All the women in my family are overweight. That's a globalized belief that they've hooked into and taken on as their own. Another element of that is it could be a generational trauma that they're still living out. Um, because science, thank you, is proving what we've known for a long time, that we can bear the trauma of our ancestors and still be running that energy in our life because that belief and that trauma has been passed down and is in our bodies at the cellular level. So maybe grandparents lived through the Depression, and they grew up with that belief, that undercurrent, that inherited belief from the ancestors that there's never enough food because back then there wasn't enough food. There wasn't enough food. So it could be cultural related. There are cultures who endured, starvation at the hands of other countries who are trying to overcome them and starve them out. It could be, it could be, it could be trauma related. It could be, and it's been shown, although we don't treat anything, we don't diagnose it, we don't treat as clinical or spiritual hypnotherapists, but it has been shown that women will put on weight in order to protect themselves as a result of experiencing a sexual trauma, regardless of the age at which, or the ages at which it was experienced. It's like a buffer. So that's very, very common. Another one is it could be past life related. And not every client's going to want to hear that, but I have had clients who had that has come up in their past life regression, that they were starved in that past parallel life that they experienced. Let's see, one client had been jailed, um, and part of and it, you know, and part of the jail process was, you're fed like a king, I can tell you that. So it could be past life related. It could be, here's one that a lot of empaths don't realize is empaths can put on weight when they don't know how to manage their abilities, their gifts, or when they don't tend to those gifts. So that can be another form. It's an external influence. And stress, of course, always plays a part, always plays a part. So one of the things that's really beneficial is to teach our clients, I have found, stress management and an understanding of how emotions play into it and becoming more aware. And then techniques to learn how to appreciate their body. We're not taught that as a society. We're not taught that there's external influences that we're taught to model or to aim for, as opposed to appreciate what we have. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I always encourage my clients to do is whether they take a bath on a daily basis or every other, doesn't matter, or a shower, but to express appreciation to each part of their body as the wash rag or the bar of soap or whatever as they're washing that particular area of their body. And it doesn't have to be the whole body. I give them a lot of different ways that they could do this, but they can, as they wash their arms, thank you, arms. I appreciate you, arms, for reaching out and for the ability to embrace the ones I love. And I thank you, legs, for holding me steady and helping me move forward. And I thank you, feet, for helping me balance as I take forward steps of confidence, just to bless and appreciate their body so that they can begin, because, change begins with, a little step at a time, but to change the way that they view themselves and can come to appreciate themselves. If my client comes in and tells me that they're the ones that stand on a scale every single day, which I discourage. And there's those who are just dedicated like that. They'll know when they've reached their goal by the number that's on that scale. I have them write that number on a 3x5 card and tape it right to that scale so that they can, every time they step on it, they see their ideal, their number, whatever it might be, every time they step on it. So there's lots of different ways in addition to hypnosis and the work that we do, that we can bring in for our clients as a support for weight management or weight release, um, and stress management, and ways to stop that negative self-talk, to recognize that, and one way to do that is to, here's another, and I like to call it home play, not homework. Here's another thing that I do for my clients is, because I always give them home play to do between sessions. And I think it's really important because I tell them we ignite the flame of change in my office, or as we're, together on a Zoom session, a virtual session, but it's their job to fan that flame of change between our sessions. So that's why I give them home play. And it's home play that supports the changes that we make together when we meet for sessions. So another thing that I'll ask or invite them to do is to write. They can write it down at the end of the day, or they can recognize it throughout the day, but write down 5 things that are good about them, that they either spoke that day, thought that day, or did that day. And it can be, because I want them to honor who they are, because we're shifting gears, right? They've been in this negative world, and I know that, they've had all this negative talk and this external um, socialization in terms of what they should be doing or should look like, to write down things of value around themselves. And sometimes that might feel a little big for them. So I chunk it down and let them know it could be that you simply held the door open to the store as that elderly woman approached it. That's one good thing about you today. And then what's the other good thing what's another thing? Oh, I stepped outside and took a break when I was doing some homework or doing whatever, doing duties. I took 5 minutes for myself and I stepped outside. Well, there's 2 right there. You only have 3 more to go. So they're the little things that always add up. The universe is made of the hinges of the little things. They always add up. So there's lots of different ways that we can help them. Another way that I do that supports the hypnosis, and there's lots of different ways that we could do hypnosis for this, is to invite them to always teach them self-hypnosis. I always do that. And if you're not doing self-hypnosis as a practitioner, the invitation is extended to you right now. I invite you to do self-hypnosis on a daily basis. But I teach them how to do self-hypnosis and then invite them to participate in that as well. And I'm one of those practitioners that I don't give my clients a recording. I teach them how to do it because I want them empowered, and both of their oars in the water so that they're rowing constantly between sessions, as opposed to one rudder or one oar in the water and they just spin in circles. But I want them to be able to do self-hypnosis without having to find a recording and plug in their earphones and be off in a quiet area for 20 minutes, seclude themselves. Um, it's for best results, in my opinion, if we give them information and ways to accomplish these home plate activities, that they will incorporate them rather than giving them a recording to do and be dependent on that recording. It empowers them if I teach them how to do it and then tell them 10 minutes is good enough if that's what you got. It's better than a stick in the eye. 10 minutes, do your self-hypnosis for 10 minutes and be that version of you that's your goal. Be that version of him or her, whoever that is. So I tend to talk really fast when I get excited about this stuff. So stress management, like I said, also goes into play, and there's lots of different hypnotherapy models. You could do a remodeling session with them where they can because often they will have an example in mind of someone that they've seen or know that they want, that inspired them, that they want to be like an experience in terms of that, vitality and health and vibrancy and longevity. And so they know they have an inkling of what that person or that archetype might be. So I have them, tell me what would it be like if you followed them around or sat with them and just witnessed how they ate a meal or how they prepared a meal. It depends, of course, on what your client's challenge is. Or follow them around for a day. What do they do to move their body, and what are they thinking as they're moving throughout the day? What are their thoughts and actions and words? And then have them step into that individual after they've given me all those details, and then have them move forward and throughout their day, and then have them rewind and bring all those resources back to themselves so that they can move forward emulating that behavior but as them instead. So that's one technique. Of course, past life regression is another one to shift and heal those. Same with ancestral trauma. There's ways that we can, do the spiritual hypnosis to release ancestral influences. But the bottom line is they know what they should be doing, and because they've been told that. But the question is, what is it that they want to do, and what will be easy for them to do to release that weight, that burden? And the beauty of hypnotherapy, especially as it relates to trauma, is we don't have to go back and revisit every single issue and drag them back through the mud and the blood and the guts and the gore at all. We can do metaphorically, we can do it, we can, I had a client, I won't go into those details, but um, we can do it as a scene in a movie or a movie itself, and then make adjustments to the details of that so that they are are resourced with what really is within them already. But I have found that the most important thing to begin with is to know why. What's motivating them? Are they moving toward health and vitality? Are they moving towards an objective to release X amount of pounds by June 30th for their high school reunion, or are they moving away from the challenges of the past? Um, because that lets me know motivation and essentially how much skin in the game do they have, how ready are they to release that weight and those burdens of the past, because that gives us a direction to go. Um, and helps them, create new sustainable habits. Let's see, what am I forgetting? A presumption of mine, I'm forgetting something. Um, I might have covered everything in a nutshell pretty quick there. The thing is, it doesn't have to take forever long, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It could be really easy for them. And thousands of people have benefited from hypnosis and creating new shifts and changes around healthy lifestyles and release the limiting beliefs and emotions that have impacted them in the past. There's lots of different strategies, and self-awareness is one. And, to ascertain what the emotional triggers are, or, oh, here's one thing. Um, it's important. I knew I'd remember something. It's important to move the body, right? And in the long ago and far away, I was a personal trainer, and new clients would come in without fail. Uh, and there'd be a wave of them, right, at New Year's, right? Everybody has these big goals and New Year's resolutions. And people would come in with these huge goals, like they wanted to work out every day. They wanted to lose 50 pounds in 5 weeks, just they were outrageous. And I remember just having to reel them in and just bring them down a little bit and go, let's just take one step and achieve one goal first. So that's the same approach that I use with my hypnotherapy clients. Just one victory first, one shift or change first. Let's make it easy peasy lemon squeezy. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take long. Um, And because it has very little to do with actual food, it's generally emotions or limiting beliefs or the trauma or the ancestral or the past life. There's lots of different ways to approach it and to support our clients and to help them in that way. And what I was going to get to is about the people have this, and I'm one of them. There's no way that I want to, I used to do this, but there's no way I am interested now. And science is proving that the physical benefit of 10-minute increments of doing something a couple of times a day for only 10 minutes, like twice a day, is just as beneficial as spending an hour at the gym.
Mhm.
And people, especially people who are carrying around a few extra pounds, are very reluctant to go to a gym and be around all those, steel bods and maniacs on the machines and the weights and the classes. And it's very intimidating. Not only that, but it takes time to get there, time to do it, time to get home, time to shower and before you can do anything else. It's a time suck when you can do 2 10-minute intervals during the day. And it could be dancing, for crying out loud. It can be going for a walk. It could be just stretching. It could be so many different ways. But for them, my clients, to realize that it's not, you have to go exercise. That's kind of a dirty word to a lot of people, exercise, where move your body, just move your body. And then also, um, that puts it in an easier, palpable perspective for them. But also, I think it's a value to find out what's the quality of their sleep, because sleep plays such an important part in overall physical health. And it's not just, I can tell you, it's not just the 5 pounds that people want to release. There's the bigger goal of health and vitality and longevity and balance and think of all the things that they can do once that weight's released. How will life be different? How will relationships be different? There's so many different ways to approach this. But the bottom line is hypnotherapy is profoundly effective long term as well. Studies have validated this. Long term um, weight, it remains off for years. And some people continue to release that weight because some people have a lot to release and some people have just a little bit. So it can perpetuate itself and continue because lifestyle changes, mindset changes, body appreciation changes, self value changes, the internal dialogue changes. And if there's ancestral implications, if there's past life indications, those are, healed, shifted, and resolved in the moment in those particular sessions. So, especially with ancestral, because not only are we releasing the patterns of the past and returning, releasing that, but we also, same with past life, um, perpetuate the goodness for the future generations. So there's lots of different elements at play in terms of weight release, but the bottom line is that hypnotherapy is just a stellar champion for efficacy in that.
Mhm.
So,
Susie, I went on my own weight loss journey about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago and lost 70 pounds through hypnosis. And, situationally, things will happen and I will find myself waning a little bit, or is it the better term, waxing? But inevitably, I always go back. It may take me a minute, but that's a lot of weight to lose. And I know that statistically, only 3% of people are successful losing weight through behavior modification, like typical Jenny
mm,
Craig Weight
yeah.
Watchers and avenues of that sort. That is just strictly because of behavior modification, where people will generally go back to their coping skills, and that's exactly what food is. It's such a layered
Oh, it is.
situation. It's such a
Yeah.
layered emotional drivers for the way people eat. So, statistically, we're about 93% effective
Yes,
for
ma'am.
any given one
Long
issue.
term. Hmm.
So it's the reason why I was glad that because I've done Jenny Craig in the past, and this is why I think I've been largely successful with my own journey for sure. And to
Yeah.
your point also about past life regression, I've had many, many clients sit in my chair and get to there's some cellular trauma that is
Yes.
that that bleeds through into this lifetime from that. And one that comes to mind is a client of mine that in her past life, she had a good friend, her best friend who was a male. She was a woman in that. Oh no, they were two guys in that lifetime. But her friend took ill and he was always a thin man and just did not have much reserve to fight the illness that he had. And that really triggered her in this lifetime. She always felt like if he had more
Mm,
weight on him, he could have survived. So in this lifetime, that memory has bled through, and she's always subconsciously wanting to keep extra weight on just in case of illness.
right,
So
right.
it's absolutely a factor for some people, and why this is such a great modality for people to get to the root cause so
Yeah,
that they can get on the other side of it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's amazing um, how prevalent past lives are related to
Mhm.
weight issues. It's absolutely amazing, especially the starvation, the fear of starving or being starved in a past life and dying from starvation. And there were entire cultures lost to being choked out by their food supply being cut off. I believe it was in World War II. Um, there
And
was
famine,
Oh,
famine.
absolutely.
You go
Absolutely.
to the root cause of that lifetime
Yep.
experience with clients.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yep.
sure, for
But the
sure.
the fun of it is, or I find the fun of it is, regardless of the root cause, there's so many different angles that we can come at
Hmm.
it because I've worked with clients who would never ever want to hear the word past life regression,
Hmm.
right? So with other tools, we get to pull in and meet them where they are, knowing that there's so many different elements at play and so many different ways to help them reach that place of resolve and move.
Melissa's done tapping for weight loss and had
Yes,
great success
exactly.
with that.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm. So yeah, there's so many different ways. If I
Yeah.
might share one more thing, just yesterday while I was teaching class, I had sat in the chair for one of my for the student, and oddly, we were doing parts work, and I was using distraction, being distracted as my main issue. And
Mm-hmm.
the part that came in it was visually a Tootsie Roll, a Tootsie Roll. Now I'm a sugar fiend, always have been. It was a Tootsie Roll, so I named the part Candy.
There
And
you go.
no, Candy was my distraction.
Oh, look at that.
So it's really interesting how it can intricately be woven into
Yep.
situations and things. Food is just such a complex issue. So it's
Right? And it can
mm,
also relate to think about those historically those families who sat around the table and that was community. Food is
yeah,
community, food is connection, food is celebration.
it's
Yeah,
love.
yeah, exactly, right? So there's
And
so
what does
many
everybody want?
and need. Yeah,
Love.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
exactly.
I tell my clients that um, diets don't work because if they did, this country would be full of thin people,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Hmm.
2/3 of the people in this country are obese.
Yeah.
They don't have to be. I put on 15 pounds when I lived in the state of Washington years ago, and I moved back to California, and I thought, now, why did I eat my way through that year living in Washington? Well, one of the things that had changed, I stopped believing that I could eat whatever I want and stay thin. That was my belief forever. And I thought, why did I stop saying that to myself? And so I started saying that again. And that helped me cut back on what I was eating because I didn't need that much food. And in a pretty short period of time, I lost those 15 pounds because
Yeah.
that's my belief. I can eat what I want. The caveat to that is mostly I want to eat healthy food
Exactly.
because then I
Yeah.
feel good. And if I eat junk, I don't feel good. But that belief has served me really well.
I liked what you said, Susie, about using a different phrase besides losing weight, because you might
Hmm.
want to go find it again. That's a really cool thing to implement.
Right. So think about what you do when you lose your keys and think about how many times have people, release the weight, found it again, release the weight, put it back on, release the weight, put it back on, that yo-yo and whatever. And I'm a language I'll claim it. I'm a language freak anyhow. So I pay attention to the words that are spoken and knowing that our high holy self is always thinking, ourselves, our body are always listening to what we say and how we speak. So as one of the first things that I teach them.
Well, and not only do we look for things we've lost, strangers will help us look, don't they? Try losing
Help
something
us
when you're
find
in
them.
public and people are very concerned and, well, oh, here, let me help you look for it.
So true.
It is.
And it
So
helps.
true.
And the weight, what did you call it, Susie?
Wait, I call it weight management or
Weight
weight release
management.
or release.
So emotional reframing helps with weight management, right? Emotional reframing.
Mhm.
And also, since it's seasonally applicable,
Yeah,
I have a difficult time using the word resolution because of what you just described. Many
yeah,
people just abandon those resolutions to, or if they get into the 30 days, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd like to think of it as New Year's intentions, because if you set an intention of who you want to be, that's infused with emotion and clarity.
Yep,
And if you can see it, you can be it, right? So
exactly.
people are far more successful with that, with the intentions than resolutions.
I call it New Year's evolution.
Yeah, I
You
love
get to
that too.
evolve.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, it's been a slice of heaven, as always. I think this is a good time to close out. Thanks for joining us all. Thanks, ladies, for
Thanks,
your
Susie.
That was great,
piping in.
Susie. Thanks.
Thank you.